Hey folks, Vigilant Defender here, and this video is my response to an article titled "School Punishes Her for Wearing Shirt. Gives excuse, guys can't stop staring. Is this fair?" While I first saw the article on ReaganCoalition.com, similar articles can be found on other websites as well. It's about a 17-year-old girl in El Toro High School in Lake Forest, California. I'm withholding the girl's name and photo here, so if you want to know her name or see her photo, you'll have to go to the article. I'll provide a link below. She was called on the carpet by the El Toro High School administration for wearing what is described in the article as a V-neck t-shirt. The administration thought the shirt was too revealing and distracting for the teen boys in the school, so the girl was given a stern warning not to repeat this violation of the dress code again, and was threatened with detention if she did. Something tells me there's a little more to the story here, such as she told the school off, but in all fairness to the teen queen, that's just a guess. The girl, offended by the dress code of the school and the administration's warning, went on the offense and launched an online petition which garnered some 17,000 signatures. In her petition, she describes the school dress code as sexist and further explains, quote, "As females, we are told we are not allowed to wear clothing that is too low cut or showing too much skin." Her petition continues, quote, "Why? Because it is inappropriate and distracting. It is incredibly sexist and offensive to tell someone that what they are wearing is inappropriate for school or too distracting. If someone is comfortable and confident in what they wear, what gives you the right to make them feel self-conscious?" End quote. Okay, I'm going to give some analysis here. Let's start with calling the dress code sexist. If you've seen any of my other videos that address one social issue or another, you know that I like to consult the dictionary. So I shall consult dictionary.com. While dictionary.com gives 3 definitions of the word, I shall give the one to which she is probably referring. Sexist: ingrained and institutionalized prejudice against or hatred of women. Or misogyny, which is hatred, dislike, or mistrust of women or prejudice against women. I think it's time for a common sense lesson, don't you? Question: how is this dress code prejudiced or a form of hatred against or mistrust of women? She says boys can wear V-neck shirts and girls can't. That must be it. How is that hatred, mistrust, or prejudice against women? This happened in a high school. High schools are full of high school-aged boys. High school-aged boys are in the prime of their reproductive years, and every last cell in their sex-craved bodies is dripping with testosterone. Creatures such as these are attracted to boobs, rear ends, legs, arms, necks, faces, toes, etc. In short, if it's human, moves, has a vagina, and he finds it even remotely attractive, he's ready. You know what I mean, Vern? God, in His infinite wisdom, gave the puberty-stricken boy an inherent desire, generally speaking, to ejaculate and eventually impregnate. Those are probably 2 of the top 10 goals at some point in a male's life. But at this time in his life, the high school boy just wants to ejaculate. So you take a high school boy who's jacked up on testosterone and naturally stimulated sexually by sight, and combine that with ejaculation as one of his main goals at this stage in his life. Throw a girl into the mix that he finds attractive and exposes just enough of her boobs to serve as a tease in school for the world to see, and, well, he's going to be studying. But it won't be math, science, or history. He's probably going to be studying anatomy, her anatomy. In other words, he's going to be distracted, just like the school said. Girls, on the other hand, generally are not nearly as sexually stimulated by sight as men. Hence the reason what used to be taught as female modesty was emphasized. That's not sexist or misogynistic. That's just recognition of a general natural difference between men and women, and we recognized that they had such differences. There are others too, believe it or not, but I guess they don't teach that in schools anymore. Her petition continues, quote, "Why? Because it is inappropriate and distracting. It is incredibly sexist and offensive to tell someone what they are wearing is inappropriate for school or too distracting. If someone is comfortable and confident in what they wear, what gives you the right to make them feel self-conscious?" End quote. Again, how is it displaying mistrust, prejudice, or hatred towards anyone, women in this case, to tell them that what they are wearing is inappropriate or distracting? Let me have a crack at answering my own question. Number one, on the issue of mistrust, how can I trust a woman to be faithful to me if she likes to go out in public dressing in such a way that communicates to the world that she's sexually available? But that's not sexist because the mistrust is aimed at her, not women in general. Number two, on the issue of prejudice. Again, if she is advertising that she's sexually available, I would prejudge and determine that she's probably been around the block a few times. She might even have more miles on her than a space shuttle. But again, while it is prejudice against an individual or group displaying a specific type of behavior, it's not a prejudice against women in general. So that's not sexist either. Number three, on the issue of hatred. Hatred has nothing to do with it, so sexism is not an issue here either. Time for some more questions. Is a Speedo appropriate for school? How about a miniskirt? Be on the lookout for boys who keep dropping their pencils on the floor on this one. Fishnet stockings? How about a tight white t-shirt without a bra? I think you get my point. I certainly hope so by now. Frankly, you should feel self-conscious. Ashamed, really. Here's what's incredibly offensive. You want to go to school feeling all hot and sexy because of how you're dressed, which is what you really mean by comfortable and confident. You want a lot of guys looking at your boobs in the hallway and filled with sexual desire for you because it makes you feel like you're all that. You don't care about the emotional and sexual grinder you're putting the boys through as long as you feel hot and sexy. What gives you the right to do that? And when you get called on the carpet for putting testosterone supercharged boys by the hundreds through the emotional and sexual grinder, you get mad. And you feel more than justified to bludgeon the opposition with overhyped, worn out, leftist, bastardized, feminazi terminology and buzzwords. All of this hopefully to shut down any debate and allow you to continue to go around school dressed in such a manner that would have made a prostitute blush 50 years ago. What gives you the right to do that? Frankly, it's selfish and cruel. Why? Because you proudly parade your body like a slab of meat in front of oversexed boys by the hundreds, many of them wanting you sexually in the worst way possible, and the toilet is as close as they will ever get. But hey, you feel hot and sexy, and that's all that matters. What gives you the right to do that? Isn't that unfair? Some of the boys, by the way, may wind up in prison for sexual assault. That is, if they get caught. Not all of them do. But I'll be fair to the teen queen here. She's a teen, therefore she probably hasn't thought of this. If the parents haven't, shame on them. A lot of girls and women dress like that, and then they get mad at boys and men, calling them perverts and sexist, and accuse them of looking at them like they're slabs of meat when they do look. When men respond to the flames of passion that are being stoked by the women ask what's wrong with the boys and men. It may make you feel hot and sexy and empowered and then self-righteous when you express your anger, but how is that fair to men? Women and girls are allowed to dress like this, and men aren't allowed to catcall, whistle, look, talk to our buddies. Some of you even get annoyed if males ask for your name and phone number. We're not allowed to respond at all. How is that fair to males? Moving on. She complains that such a restriction doesn't apply to the boys, therefore it is unfair. But while this particular restriction doesn't apply to boys, at least according to her, the dress code also forbids, quote, clothing that is too revealing or too low cut, end quote. Hats worn sideways or backwards, do-rags, that is, the bandana-like things that cover the top of your head, or shorts, pants, or skirts that are torn in inappropriate places are also forbidden. But it does apply to boys. Yes, they can wear a V-neck t-shirt, but I have to wonder, if the boy was a hefty bodybuilder type with well-defined chest muscles and six-pack abs, and he was wearing a V-neck that went to mid-torso, I'll bet the administration would throw him a shirt and tell him to put it on. Why? Because it's too revealing or too low cut, just like yours. Some parts of the dress code actually apply to boys more than girls. Hats worn sideways or backwards and do-rags are two great examples. I don't think I've ever seen a girl wearing a hat sideways, certainly not a teenager. Backwards, yes, but rarely. As for girls, I've only seen biker chicks wearing do-rags, but certainly not high school girls. Do-rags are mainly a male thing. As for shorts and pants being torn in inappropriate places, that can apply to boys or girls. So, being the dress code applies to boys as well as girls, you can't even argue that the dress code is wrongfully discriminatory. As a final comment in the article, she states, the dress code blames women for what they wear. It's not blaming men's dirty minds. The dress code doesn't blame anyone for anything. But you said something very interesting here. You said that men have dirty minds. By the way, is that sexist? You love that men have dirty minds. That's why you like to dress in a way that makes you feel hot and sexy. You're catering to it. You're stoking the flames of passion, and it feels good to you. When those dirty little minds are on you, you can't get enough. Yet in some sort of unusual, sick, twisted, perverted way, you want to see those same little dirty minds blamed or punished for lusting after you, which is what you want. Punished because the boys want you, but they can't have you. But you shouldn't be blamed. No, not innocent little you. Why, you just want to be comfortable and confident. Here's another question. As for blaming men's dirty minds, unless it's expressed, how do you blame a thought? Here are my final thoughts. You may be thinking, I'm 17, I'm almost an adult, in a few more months I'll be able to do whatever I want and dress however I want. To a degree, that's true. But have you thought about how many tweens there are that may be looking up to you, that want to dress like you? Maybe you have a younger sister. And have you thought about how you would feel if one of those girls started dressing like you and was sexually assaulted by any one of the 89 convicted sex offenders that live within 5 miles of your school? Probably not, but you're a teen, so I'll cut you some slack here. I'll provide a link below to meganslaw.ca.gov in case you don't believe me and you want to look up the stats yourself. And just because you will have turned 18 and graduated in a few months doesn't mean sexual assault can't happen to you. Parents, where are your heads? Why are you letting your daughters wear low necklines, high skirts, tight shorts, and the like when there are sexual predators living in your neighborhoods, perhaps by the dozens? Two things are for sure. Number one, if your daughter gets sexually assaulted and the assailant claims that he was provoked because of how she was dressed, that won't make it right. But it may have been a factor. A small factor, but a factor nonetheless. Number two, it won't undo what happened to your daughter either. It won't heal the scars. It won't undo the damage. It won't erase the terror, and it won't diminish the nightmares. What's done is done. Be responsible. That's it for this video. Hit like and subscribe. A lot of parents need to be responsible and hold their daughters accountable regarding their style of dress, and a lot of girls out there need to think about how they dress. So share this video with everybody you know. Vigilant Defender here. Until next week, thanks for watching.